Hopefully. Hello everyone and welcome to World E-Racing League Season 4, Round 5 here at Jeddah for a fantastic race here tonight. Joining me in the commentary box is going to be my good friend and co-owner Brian/Jedi, and I am of course Staybody/Owen Baldero. So, how are you looking forward to tonight's race, Brian?
It's certainly going to be an interesting one. Jeddah is certainly a technical track. It's one which I know you very much enjoy, whereas I very much do not enjoy. So it's going to be an interesting one to see which drivers come on top, and I feel it's going to be a few, as someone's already retired. And why is people saying new lobby? What? Well, someone's just said new lobby. Oh, okay, we're going to have to restart. Great.
What's happened?
Okay. Something's gone wrong with the lobby settings already.
Oh. Oh, well, ladies and gentlemen. Right, okay then. Do I have a screen? Oh my god, I had just a screen that said WERL that I could have thrown us to, but I deleted it yesterday. Let me create a
Oh my god, will people retire for crying out loud? Okay. 7 more people. Should have. Yeah, I'll just go and create a new lobby here. I have no idea what. I just said I'm creating a new lobby to make it quicker, see some people aren't retiring.
There we are. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to WERL. For real this time, round 5 here at Jeddah. We unfortunately had a bit of a technical hitch, or a technical glitch, if you will, because the lobby settings decided to break. They were all set up correctly. They just decided to break, so we had to go and fix it, create a new lobby, which hopefully it should all be fixed now. And we have had a couple of late joiners come in, so we've now got 18 drivers on the grid here at the Jeddah Corniche circuit, and it's a really good turnout, isn't it, Brian? Really good turnout. And Brian is not alive, apparently. Brian, hello? Yeah, he's not here. Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have to wait for Brian to come back as we now wait on the drivers to make their move. Come out of the pit lane as we see a McLaren there of Owen making his way out of the pit lane. And the first driver out onto the track here today. It's a very, very intriguing circuit, Jeddah. It's one of the more high-speed ones. You know, even Sector 1 requires a little bit of being daring, if you will. Especially this right-hander we see Owen go through. There is a lot of time to be gained and to be lost by how close you get to the wall, how much speed you carry through there. As do we have a co-commentator yet, Brian? Nope. Not 100% sure what has happened to Brian. But we will talk about that. We'll talk to him and find out a little later. Your mic says sound coming but can't hear. Okay, so Brian can't hear me. Leave the VC and rejoin, Brian. Leave and rejoin. Apologies, ladies and gentlemen. We're now having technical issues with the voice chat that we are in. Hopefully, Brian leaving and rejoining should fix it, but we will see. As we now ride with Owen for the first lap. Hello.
I'm back. That's
There
all.
we are. Brian is back, ladies and gentlemen. As we ride on with Owen towards turn 1, he goes, throwing it left, throwing it right. And then getting on the power towards the towards this turn 3, a wall which you are very good friends with, aren't you, Brian? Notoriously, for those that know and for those that don't, Brian has hit that wall many a time. As we see Owen ride the curb, is going to have to cut a lot of Sector 1, and that is going to be the end of his lap, or the end of any chance he had of it being a good lap, let's say.
Yeah, the curbs are certainly a pain. The curbs are here. If you take too much of it, it can very much ruin a good lap. Yeah, just I mean, as I was saying before, we had the technical issues. Jeddah is a technical track, so few enjoy it, few dislike it. As Owen there running very wide, lucky to not invalidate.
Yeah, I gotta say, I'm surprised he didn't invalidate there. I would have thought that would have been an invalidation, as now towards the final corner comes the McLaren. Might pick up a little bit of a toe from the Ferrari ahead. Big hit, slight hit of the wall, as now towards the line comes Owen CFC. The banker is not going to be set because he is going to peel into the pit lane, probably recognising that his time was not particularly very good. As towards the line comes Galliend, and that's a 27.5. Chenky puts in a 27.3. As now we watch on board with Hi, Hello, Yee. What a name. We're just going to say Yee for now. Kieran puts in a 30.35 on those intermediate tyres. As now we watch on board with the Red Bull. Towards the line he comes. It's going to be a 1 minute 33.90, third fastest at the moment. And then on board with Winston, coming towards the end of Sector 2.
Yeah, I mean, an interesting as in that Tato has gone third fastest in behind his teammate with a 1 minute 30.2. And the saying about two Aston Martins working together here going on to their laps. Very close, however, so it'll be interesting if they possibly get under each other's feet a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. As towards the line comes Winston, 28.6 up to third there for the Williams. And now Gabriel making his way through Sector 1. His teammate also making his way through Sector 1. These two split by a couple of seconds on track, and that probably contributed to Ryan's off track there, probably picking up dirty air from the back of his Aston Martin teammate there. As we now ride with Regan, who is in the middle sector coming towards the split. He is on a 1 minute 1.603 at the moment, which I believe is relatively decent. I wouldn't say it's incredible, but it's a moderate pace, let's say. As whilst we're still in qualifying and we've having the first laps, who is your prediction for pole position, Brian?
I think it's going to be, as a lot of this season has been, between Schenke and Gillian, but I know S22, he claims he's not got the same pace as he used to have, but I know from what I've seen in the past, he does have very good pace, and hopefully on his debut here tonight, he can show that pace and maybe surprise a few people and take pole, but I feel it's going to be between Schenke and Gillian for pole. It's been between the two of them for the vast majority of this season so far, so it'll be interesting to see who's going to take pole, and I think it'll be one of them too.
Yeah, Orion puts in a 29.4, goes just behind Regan by just under 2 tenths there. And, I mean, yeah, Gelliend and Schenke are two very quick drivers, two strong bets for pole. And, I mean, to be fair, Gabriel isn't a million miles away from them at the moment. Oh, no, he's not. No, he's over a second. My bad. I thought it was a 27. No, I read it wrong. My apologies, ladies and gentlemen. He is a lot further away than I thought Winston was. But anyway, riding on board with Owen through Sector 1, coming towards the section where he rode the curb quite dramatically, like a cowboy would ride a bull in America in the 1800s. If you know, you know. As now towards the end of Sector 1 comes Owen, 32.9, a little bit better, about 4.5 steps up on what he was doing in the first, in his first run, let's say.
Yeah, and what I was going to say, during all of that in the Twitch, someone has asked, how do you think Angry Ink will do? Well, serving a qualifying ban, of course, today. If he can keep his nose clean and keep out of any sort of incidents which may occur, I think it could be a good race for those who stay out of incidents. And I know Jeddah, for me personally, Jeddah is a track I prefer to start at the back to avoid the incidents, so it'll be interesting to see how the McLaren does today.
Yeah, definitely starting at the back can be a blessing in disguise. It can also be a curse. You know, I started at the back in the league race we did, Brian, here in Jeddah a few weeks ago, and starting at the back probably allowed me to avoid a little bit of chaos, but then a couple of laps later got me caught up in chaos because I was towards the back and I was out of position. As we now move to Sniper Maker in the Red Bull, going through the final sector. That was a very nice corner there. Getting really close to the ball as Joe puts in a 27.346. Great lap time from the Mercedes there. But we see there, Schenke and Gelliend are on out laps. So what can they do in comparison to try and match Joe? As towards the line comes Sniper Maker. It's not going to be pole, but where is it going to be? It's a 29.4. Goes to 9th place on the grid now. And we head down to Robin the Mercedes, now coming through Sector 2.
Yeah, I completely forgot what I was going to say because I got distracted with what was going on in the Discord channel. Volt has left the session, so I'll get him back in. What were we saying a moment before I got distracted?
Cannot remember. So
That's two of us. Rob 1016 at the end of the second sector. I mean, he's not on the same pace as his teammate Joe, but he could still be on for something decent here. I mean, going back to Sniper making a minute ago, at Monza last race we had, he wasn't looking anywhere near pole yet. He took a podium in that race, so he had a very good display there. He's got good race pace, whereas I feel his one-lap pace may slightly let him down a little bit, but race pace for Sniper Maker is very good.
yeah, well, luckily for him, there's no points handed out in qualifying. It's all given in the race, as you do feel that maybe the RB of KZ could have helped his teammate Kieran down this straight. As oh no, he's just teleported in front of him. So KZ is lagging, ladies and gentlemen, as Chenky puts in a 27-1. What a lap time. Towards the line comes Kieran Derry, 28.5 dead. And now we'll go on board with Gelly End, who is in Sector 1, is 2.5 tenths up. So is knocking on the door of a 0.2, could now challenge Chenky with a little bit more improvement in the middle sector, as now this is the crucial corner. This is where the time is gained or lost. That looked very nice through there for the Alpine, very close to the wall, carrying a lot of speed, as he now will get the power down, get the DRS open, use his ERS towards the end of the middle sector. He's 5 tenths up. He is flying here. Is the Alpine, as now draining his battery. The remaining 6% that he has left in his pack is going to be gone by the end of this lap, as round the final corner he goes, flicking it in. Quite clearly a wheel player, as up to the line comes Gelly End. What is it going to be for the Alpine? It's a 26.8. It's 2.5 tenths up. No, 3 tenths even up on Chenky, and that is a hell of a lap time. And that could be the pole time done and dusted, as Joe is on an outlap, so that is going to be one to watch in the next couple of minutes.
You know, that was... I mean, after that first sector, I thought maybe he has something in the tank. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he made a bit of a mistake. But as the lap progressed, just built into that lap and into that time at the end. And, well, a very good time in the end, as Regan is going to come to the line. He's 5 tenths up at the moment. He will go into 5th and finds 8 tenths in total. So both Ferraris looking strong here today.
Yeah, definitely Regan up there helping his teammate of Chenky. These two teammates in WRL, but rivals in another league. I mean, not direct rivals on track, but rivals in the race nonetheless, if you understand what I mean. As now we watch Joe, who will come to start his next lap, put in a hell of a lap time for his banker. So let's see what he got in his locker for his second lap, as there is a yellow flag in sector 2 and 3, so we can't see how long is left of the session. But through turn 1 goes the Mercedes, swinging out wide, using all the track available. That looked pretty nice. As now turn 3, how close does he get? That was very, very close. This is on the limit in the first sector for Joe, but currently it is sticking for him. The downshift is going to go off track. Is it going to be invalidation? No, but he is going to back out of this lap. So Joe, not going to be able to improve on this one. He's going to have to wait and try and go for another. Maybe he fueled up for push school push, so he can do it, can do another. If not, he's going to have to be into that pit lane for a new set of tyres for the final run of qualifying.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting session. I mean, obviously you got Gelly and Chenky up there, but then you've got Joe with that banker lap knocking on the door, possibly turning around and saying, you know, I'm still here, I could still do something, just don't rule me out kind of attitude. And then obviously we have the two Hasses and the Williams who are yet to set a lap time, but I mean, I mean, obviously I know S22 and Cooler. You know, Alexis the Williams. I mean, Alexis, you can't really rule out at Jeddah. They are solid at Jeddah.
Yeah, I mean, Alexis is relatively strong at Jeddah, but one man you mentioned who has some good pace was S22, sorry, who we are riding on board with now as we have 3.5 minutes left in the session. The Haas will come across the line relatively soon to start lap, so might actually pick up a little bit of traffic from drivers starting their final lap, or starting their outlaps in this session, whilst S22 is starting in. No, he's not. He's going to come straight in to the pit lane, so that is interesting. And that kind of feels like unnecessary wear on those tyres that he didn't need to put on them. So, an interesting tactic, let's say.
Certainly. Yeah, that's an interesting one. Completely forgot what I was going to go with that.
Brilliant.
As Kieran comes in, the Sector 1 invalidates.
Oh! S22 has apparently been disqualified for being parked in a dangerous location, but is in the pit lane.
I actually seen it. His car came to a stop before the pit limiter line.
Right.
Now, I know he hasn't played in a long time, and I'm just wondering, perhaps he was slowing down into the pit and his wheel has stopped working, perhaps? Because I know he is a wheel user. And it's not the first time I've seen someone's wheel decide it doesn't want to work at Jeddah. Regan is famously the one I remember, his camera switching shenanigans.
Yeah, mine did that in the sprint at Spa in our partner league APC, where I currently exclusively race. The only place I race at the moment, because it is season 10 over there, if you guys didn't know. As around the final corner comes Sniper Maker towards the line. He comes, and it's going to be a 28.692, a 7.5 temp improvement exactly, up to P9, but is not going to be able to get Winston quite. So he's going to have to settle for P9 at best in this session, as we now wait for the heavy hitters in this session to come across the line to start their final runs. The first of which being Chenky. What has he got in his repertoire? How much time can he find, and can he go on to pole?
Yeah, I mean, it's a big ask, but he came up with big responses when it mattered last season. So it's not out of the question for him, and even season 2, he had some big moments. I was just looking at Sector 1 Rob, half a second down. Just have a feeling that could be his qualifying, or that will be his qualifying session over, unless he finds an immense amount of time in sectors 2 and 3. But you know, go back to Chenky. I mean, he's a driver who can turn up when it matters, so be interesting.
Yeah, definitely it will be interesting, as Chenky was 4 attempts up in the first sector, finding a very good time as round he goes. A little bit safer, left a little bit more safety margin to the wall than we saw Galliend leave in his previous lap, as now towards the middle sector split goes the Ferrari. Has plenty of battery to play with and is half a second up, finding plenty of time on this one, as the RB, or the Red Bull, getting out of the way there pretty easily, as now his Ferrari teammate is going to give him a tow. That's going to help all the more, as round the final corner goes Chenky. Still got battery in the tank to use. It's going to be a straight run to the finish. What is it for the Ferrari? It should be pole, and it is. It's a 26.693. Gallienne was 2.2 tenths down in the first sector, and is 3 tenths down. He is probably not going to be going faster. Joe isn't. He has retired from the session. What about KZ? Round the final corner comes the RB. That is a beautiful livery, I've got to say. Up to the line he comes, and it's a 27.8. Doesn't go faster. 0.02 of a second down, as now Alexis puts in a 27.7. Still over a second off of pole position. Gallienne crosses the line. P2, that was nearly 4 tenths down. And that, I believe, is everybody finished. And that is going to be the end of qualifying. And it's Chenky on pole with a hell of a lap time.
Certainly, and you just get the feeling that Regan sacrificing his lap to help Chenky there could be, could be the reason. And just reading here, S22, I knew that sort of start of the season that he had issues to why he couldn't race, and it seems like them issues are coming back. Call him the Fernando Alonso WeRL if you would like. But he is suffering from issues by the looks of things.
Yeah, unfortunate for him. As we now head into the race, 25 laps of pure action here at the Jeddah Corniche circuit. Well, with qualifying out the way, give me your race prediction, Brian. Who do you think is going to cross that finish line first?
I mean, considering the amazing battle they had last time out at Monza, I think it will be Chenky who just edges ahead over Gallienne today. I mean, he won last time at Monza. He's took the pole position point here tonight so far. I think he might just do enough to take the race and win as well, but it's going to be between them two, I feel. I mean, Joe might have a say in things, but I feel sort of get that middle part of the race, I think Joe will start to drop off a little bit, and it will be between Chenky and Gallienne. I mean, I think that's how the season is just going to be in general. I feel that's feeling the season has got at the moment.
Yeah, potentially. And here is the order one more time that we will line up in once we go to the 5 red lights. It's going to be a very interesting race. We've got a couple of people considering the hard tyres, whether they will go onto them or not remains to be seen. But a hard medium strategy here, if you can stay inside DRS, could actually be a relatively good strategy, because the crossover point is only about 2 or 3 laps. As in, you're only going to be on those weaker tyres for about 2 or 3 laps more than the guys behind you whilst they undercut. If you understand what I mean. I realise I explained that in a really terrible way. But there we are, as we now just wait for our drivers to start the race. And then we will get underway here. Here we go. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. And it's go here in Jeddah. It's a good start from Chenky. There we are. I had no data for a minute, as now Gallienne going to be under pressure. Oh no, he's not. It's KZ and Gabriel. There's some ghosting shenanigans at the front, as now towards the inside. Looked Gabriel. He's not going to go for it though, as behind Alexis getting past Joe, who's down to P6. As what has just happened? Rob has spun it. Has he got any damage? No, his car looks to be safe. As Kieran Derry as well is down to P18. What on earth? We will try and see. No damage to the car, but damage to his pride potentially, is now Rob getting himself past. Tato does dumb pretty simply there. And we now ride.
Yeah, and the Alpine.
You go, sorry.
Sorry, the Alpine picking up a drive-through penalty for a jump start as well, so...
Whoops.
That is going to damage Alpine, and it's going to damage Alpine's lead in the Constructors' title as well, you feel?
Yeah, it could well do, because they're now going to have to fight with one car in this race. Unless we get a safety car, which, let's be honest, it is Jeddah. That is something which is highly possible, as looking at tyres, by the way, Angry Ink and S22, who are P13 and P14 on track, are the only two to select the hard tyres, as Lexus goes round the outside of Gabriel, not quite working. The Williams gets the better traction off the corner though. The Aston Martin might have to see position here, using a little bit of ERS to try and stay alongside, but is unfortunately going to fall behind. Has a little think about a move, but tucks in to the rear of Alexis, unfortunately. Not quite able to get the move, to get back past there, and Alexis moves up to 4th place in this race, and will now head after KZ, who is starting to lose touch with Gele and Chenki ahead as Regan picks up a 3-second penalty. The master of track limit penalties does it again and is the first to pick up one in this race. As if he goes at that rate, he will be disqualified by lap 9, ladies and gentlemen. So we will see. We will see if he does it. As we have a virtual safety car. I can't see a safety car coming out of the pit lane.
Kieran.
But is it
No,
for...
I've just switched to it, but it was Kieran has completely disintegrated the front wing of their racing bulls, facing the wrong way.
Yep.
It was driver error, as he wasn't actually that close to anyone to have an incident with someone, so that is pure driver error there. And he's going to be in for a new front wing.
Yeah, he will be unfortunate, but if this VSC stays out long enough, he will get the chance to repair it for free, but I don't think it will stay out long enough for him to get that advantage, unfortunately. As we wait for the race to get underway, there we are, DRS has been enabled. Owen CFC got a really good launch, going to be on the inside of Regan, who really did not get back underway well. Gives Owen a little bit of a nudge and gets himself back past, but he's going to be under pressure from the McLaren into turn 1 maybe. No, the McLaren might be under pressure here actually from Hi Hello Ye. Was not in the end, and I had to correct myself a few moments ago, because what I was going to say was Owen was going to give Regan a tug, and then I realised, oh! Alexis has hit the turn 3 wall! Oh my word! Alexis and Brian have done the exact same thing. And that is Alexis out of the race, unfortunately. But what timing! I was setting up a joke about what I accidentally said about Owen and Regan, and then I just see Alexis in the wall. That is timing, isn't it?
That's very yes, that is timing. I had the feeling that someone was going to get taken out by that turn 3 wall, and I had a small inkling it'll be one of the front runners who got taken out by it. And well, seems like I was correct with that one, as Alexis has said in the Twitch chat. Oops. So
who said that?
Yeah, Alexis.
Yeah, well, Owen gave Regan a tug, and Alexis banged the wall. So all of the references happened on lap 3 of 25 here at Jeddah. As now we watch Winston, who is just under half a second behind Owen, but with DRS here, has he got enough battery to try and get closer? No. Hi, hello, you actually looking the most threatening of the bunch in this DRS train at the moment, but he's unfortunately not quite able to get the exit as he hits the back of Winston, and he picks up damage, and it's not minor damage either. It's his entire end plate has been ripped off by that contact, as we can't really watch the front, ladies and gentlemen, because they are all out of DRS of each other. Not a single one of them is within a second of another driver, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I mean, as Orion picks up 3 seconds, but Jeddah, I mean, I think it depends. Some drivers can manage without an end plate around Jeddah, but it's going to be a tough ask for him to do that, and you'd feel like he might try and do it to just get them points for Red Bull, with his teammate Sniper Maker sitting down in 13th in this race at the moment.
Yeah, potentially. As now S22 was very close to Orion. Actually had to pull out of that one there. S22 pulling out. Oh, as Orion hits the wall. That's end plate damage there. All of the parts of cars are starting to fly off in this race, and Orion is missing his front left end plate, so that car is not going to feel good, and that could be a premature pit stop for the Aston Martin. Now Rob down the inside of Sniper Maker. Is he going to be able to get it done into turn 1? He's using battery. He's got superior straight line speed and nicely gets it done towards the first corner. Has a little think about going for a late dive on Angry Ink, as Tato Does Dumb is out of the session. I can't see what that is, but I don't think we're going to get... Has he retired it on track?
Yes.
Right. That's, if I remember correctly, a penalty, isn't it?
10 seconds, I think.
Well, we can't give him a 10-second because he's just retired it on track.
Oh, sorry. No, penalty point, sorry.
Yeah.
2, I think.
Yeah, 2 penalty points. That's what I thought. I knew it was something like that as he leaves the session there. But now, anyway, moving away from that, we watch on board with Joe, who has got himself back into DRS on his friend Gabriel in this race. As they now... Oh, that's not what I wanted. They now head towards the end of lap 5. Is Joe going to look for a move? These guys, the entire top 9 on medium tyres, the first hard tyre runner being S22, and the only other than the Haas, being Angry Ink. So not much hard tyre representation in the first stint of this race, as Cooler moves himself up to 14th past Sniper Maker, as here goes Joe getting himself past. Absolutely no problems with Kieran Derry. Derry now retires.
I think he's crashed
well.
that.
Yeah, I think he's crashed. Unfortunate. And I've got to say, no, his car is moving, so he's retired it on track as well.
I'll write these down.
Yeah, so that is going to be another 2 penalty points. So, come on, guys. It's not hard to drive your car around. It's not hard to drive it round to the pit lane, is it? It takes 30, 40 seconds from where he was on track. Don't be an idiot, is my advice. Don't be, as they would say in Back to the Future, the musical, a first-class bum. Be smart, ladies and gentlemen. As now Winston had a big old wiggle there. And was not quite able to get past Hi Hello Ye. Unfortunately, is now Angry Ink on those hard tyres. The medium's probably going to be starting to fall away a little bit in this racing comparison to the harder compound, as now we watch the McLaren towards the end of sector 2. He goes, he swoops out wide. He actually compromised himself a little bit, but he is going to get past. I was going to say cleanly, but it's not, because the Aston Martin keeps his nose in. There's a little bit of contact between the two, slight bit of rubbing. Orion is going to cede the position. He does have end plate damages. Oh my god! Rob tried to get involved as well, and there was so nearly a 3-car crash there, as in the background you see the Haas getting past the Red Bull, and somehow Rob just overtakes both, and I think he is going to have the DRS here. No, he's not. He's not. It's going to be Angry Ink who is going to use it to full effect and move himself past towards turn 1. As now Rob goes round the outside, the Aston Martin goes straight into the back of Angry Ink. That's going to be more damage, surely, for Orion. As towards turn 3 they go. Orion looks to be on skates at the moment, as he has a big snap of oversteer. Cooler Deadpool, and Rob side by side. And Rob does just about still come out on top, but this is allowing Angry Ink to scamper, as he is now... Oh no, sorry, yes. He is now second clear of Orion in P12, as now round the outside goes Rob on Orion. These two fighting it absolutely to the death. This might be a good opportunity for Cooler to try and capitalise, as now towards this right-hander Rob will get back past, but with DRS you do get the feeling Orion might just go straight back past in the next couple of corners as he gets a really poor exit, as now here comes Cooler bringing himself into play, trying to go round the outside on Orion, who blocks the line. And now towards the next corner, is he going to brake later? No, he is going to stay behind. But that was absolute carnage there between these guys for a few laps, as now Cooler going to go for it again.
Yeah, and we're starting to see the first of the medium runners in the pit. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so there was contact between Cooler and Orion, and the Aston Martin ended up going off the track and into the wall, as in he comes finally, no front wing on that Aston Martin. As is he going to get it changed, or is he going to retire? That is the good place to bet, ladies and gentlemen. I think he's going to get it changed. If he was going to retire, I reckon he would have done it by now, as Gabriel has pitted onto a new set of hard tyres. That's an early pit stop for him, to be fair, very early. Let's see what he can do.
And Joe also...
You what, sorry?
Joe also came in at the same time, so unless they're banking on a late safety car perhaps to make a late pit stop, it feels early, but I don't know, it feels early, but they might know something which we don't, perhaps. I mean, with the amount of scrapping for position there is further back, very well we could see a safety car. But whilst all this has been going on, S22 up into 5th starter on the hards, he's having a very good race here.
Yeah, very good race. Remember, he does have to come in, but when he does box for new tyres, he is going to be on the much faster compound, because the guys who have pitted ahead of him, they will rack up laps on their tyre delta compared to him, and then his new medium tyres, once he comes in, will be shiny and new, and he will have much better pace until the end of the race. So it could work if he can just grin and bear it for the next few laps, if you will, as we watch Angry Ink, who's going to try and gain as much as he can on Gabriel. He has a little think about a move, but he was too far back to really go for it. It would have been quite audacious to try it, and it probably could have ended in a crash if he did. Fortunately though, he does not.
Yeah, it's this yellow flags, massive rise for the not Chenky, the other one, Regan. Regan was going slow there, and he's lost out on 4th position, so he's down to 5th. I'm not sure what happened there. He hasn't got any visible damage, so perhaps just a small moment. Not 100% sure there for Regan.
Yeah, maybe just struggling a little bit there, as we watch on board with Rob, who has got a way better exit than Angry Ink here. As to in the middle sector, he's going to have the DRS. Angry Ink is kind of swerving. I can't lie, that's kind of illegal defending, but I won't question it any more than that, as now Angry Ink is probably going to get the DRS here and swoop straight back past with absolutely no issues, as DRS will deploy for the McLaren. Round the outside he goes. The Haas of Cooler Deadpool might also get involved in this party. These three at it again for another go. Another bite at the cherry as Cooler tries to go down the inside on Rob and hits him and loses a part of his front wing end plate. I don't think that was Rob's fault. I don't think there was much Rob could have done in that one, unfortunately, as that has ended in tears, unfortunately, as we see Regan into the pits for a new set of tyres, but no real movement at the front other than Galliend in this one.
Yeah, and I didn't see what the gap was when he pitted to Chenky, but just a feeling that this could be an attempt to undercut Chenky and try to get ahead of him, as Chenky was, especially in the early stages, starting to run away with this a little bit.
He was indeed beginning to run away with it, and it could be a very smart strategy from Galliend to try and get him on the undercut, which we know in F125 is a very, very powerful tactic. It's just about how well you can pull it off when it matters, and currently Galliend's pace looks very good. He's going to pick up the DRS behind S22. If I was him, I would wait, as Chenky now does come into the pits. The question is, what is the gap going to be to Galliend behind, or maybe even ahead, as round the final corner they go. Galliend's going to get the much better exit. There we are. He's going to use the DRS to pull himself along and get himself past the Haas, who is actually going to try and keep his nose there a little bit. Isn't unfortunately able to do it, as here we are. Chenky will come out just ahead of Galliend, but I think Galliend has got himself back into DRS. No, he's 1.2 behind, so Chenky still has the advantage in this race quite significantly. So now let's see, can Chenky extend that gap on the new tyres, or can Galliend with the older but warmed up tyres close it back and get DRS again?
Yeah, this is a critical lap in some ways for Chenky. Obviously, he's got to try to open up the gap and keep out of DRS as Galliend is looking to push for them warmed up tyres, but Chenky needs to just take it easy to get the tyres warmed up, but also still push enough to not lose position. Or, fall into the DRS range. Or, can't speak.
Yeah, definitely. as Gabriel did just move himself past Hi Hello Ye in this race. So back up to 6th goes Gabriel on the better tyres. As now we watch Gelliand, who is just a second behind Jenki, so he might be able to get DRS in the next couple of laps. Let's wait and see, but...
Oh, Ryan's missing half a front wing again.
Orion's got half a front wing again. Great.
Yep.
Oh dear, Orion. It's all gone wrong, isn't it? As KZ now comes in to the pits. It's going to be for the hard tyres, 11 laps on those mediums. So the hards will comfortably go to the end of this race. Now he probably doesn't have to worry about tyres until the end of the race. Now he can just push those hards all the way to the end.
Yeah, certainly. And I mean, when obviously S22 and Angrying's already come off the hards, interestingly enough. So interesting there whether or not that was for front wing or whether or not that's just strategical. But for S22, started on the hards, still on the hards. When would you expect him to be coming in if you were in his position here?
What, S22?
Yeah, on the hards to come in for mediums.
Anywhere from next lap to lap 15, that is your pit window, I think, if you're on hards. Personally, I would go 14 or 15, but you could go lap 13. You could. I mean, I personally wouldn't, but you definitely can.
Yeah. I think I'm in a similar position there if I was on hards in the situation. So I guess we just see what he decides is best in this situation.
Yeah, we will wait and see, as now we watch the two Red Bulls completely together on a track. These two can use each other to work together in this one. As now we watch Sniper Maker, who is going to probably move himself past his teammate. And yes, he will. Nice and cleanly in this one.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm ever so slightly distracted right now.
Yeah, I had to take a minute, as now Gelliend has got himself back into DRS on Chenki. 8.5 tenths behind. He's going to pick up some DRS here through this part of the racetrack, as there we are. We will see it open now, and he will begin to gain. The question is, can he stay in DRS is the question, because we saw him in range for quite a few laps, but he then lost it, and Chenki started to really run away in this one. So he's got to keep himself close to be able in with a chance of winning this one, because once Chenki gets out of DRS, his pace is so raw that he will just pull away, and we've seen it happen.
Yeah. Certainly, Ryan with another penalty there. What was I going to say? No, I don't know what I was going to say now. It's gone completely out of my mind. You know, Gelliend definitely has to stay within the range, but also what was Sullivan's on doing at Monza was a very, very late time penalty at Monza, which gave Chenki the win. Yes, Chenki crossed on track first, but the penalty certainly cost Gelliend. So it'll be interesting to see if history repeats itself here tonight. Obviously, Chenki has to stay away from penalties as well, but both of them have to, obviously, Gelliend has to stay away from penalties and keep within the DRS, and Chenki just has to stay away from penalties.
Yeah, they both have their jobs to do in this race. It's just about doing it, as we now see S22 is going to actually re-overtake MUFC Joe, who had the better tyres, but S22 is going to stand in defiance and is going to get himself back up to P3. He still has to pit but he is able to now get himself back onto the podium for now, as Joe is going to go round the outside. The question is now, does S22 pit? He's going to keep his nose on the inside through the final corner. It's not going to work out, unfortunately, as now into the pits will come S22. And it was the end of lap 14, like I said. That's probably my favourite lap to pit if I were in this race.
Certainly, and whilst a little bit of a battle between Joe and S22 happened, it did let Gabriel slowly close the gap in. So, I mean, Joe, obviously, same age tyres as Gabriel, could still come near the end of this race, have Gabriel closing in a little bit on him, but Gabriel does have KZ Matty behind him to deal with as well.
Yeah, he does indeed. He does indeed have KZ to deal with, does Gabriel. As we say that, he picks up a 3-second penalty. Commentator's curse at its very finest. They're doing God's work, as we now see S22 is 1.8 behind ONCFC for P6, but then has a big 12-second gap to KZ, the likes of KZ and those behind. I mean, KZ could well get a podium here. He's on the newest tyres of all of the top 5. So if he can build that gap big enough whilst taking care of his tyres, he could very well be on for a podium. As now we see KZ is going to move himself past back up to P3, but Gabriel is going to P4, but Gabriel is going to fight it. He wasn't able to put up too much of a fight, as the RB will go back up to 4th place. As now Gabriel is going to have a think about it into turn 1. He's going to leave his nose there. He is going to go for it. Probably a bit late, Gabriel. He considered it, and he hesitated a little too long, and he just was cut off a little bit for that reason. That got very, very close. As now S22 is behind and is past ONCFC towards turn 3, and will now use those medium tyres to probably blast himself away from the McLaren, who is already nearly a second behind after only a matter of about 4 corners, and is out of DRS range on the Haas, unfortunately. But now, how much can S22 gain on the likes of Gabriel and KZ ahead? Gabriel is 11 seconds up the road. The question is, can S22 gain that in the next 9 laps? Only time will tell.
Certainly, as I have just noticed, Regan has gone to the soft tyres, interestingly enough. Gellian's in.
Oh, Gellian's in, yeah. He's in for a new set of tyres.
New hards.
As is MUFC Joe. Maybe they believe they couldn't make their tyres last. As now here comes KZ. So Gelliand is going to come out in P2 still. So he's not lost out in that regard. So now let's see, how much can he gain? I mean, he's not going to win the race, but S22 has moved himself past MUFC Joe. And although Joe has newer tyres, cutting the pit lane there a little bit to minimise the gap, I rate it, as he will rejoin 2 seconds behind S22. Let's see what's going to happen between these two.
Yeah, multiple people all do the same. So Gelliand, Joe, Gabriel, and Owen all came in for new hards at the end of lap 16 there. So that's certainly interesting. And if Chenky stays out, which, I mean, Chenky, we both know, is very good with tyre management, you'd feel that this is Chenky's win now.
Yeah, I think it probably, in 99.9% of worlds, is his race. As now we go on board with Gabriel, who is catching up to Winston on those new tyres in comparison to the old tyres. As Anyway, here is Sniper Maker towards the end of the lap. These two Red Bulls still absolutely together on track. They have been within DRS of each other for, I'd say, probably 10 laps now, as Gabriel does get himself past into turn 1, and he's probably going to now just blast away from Winston, who has 6 lap older tyres. He's probably not going to be able to put up much of a competition, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I mean that is just the case of things at times. As I'll be interested now. Where's S22 could finish? As Regan's.
Oh, Regan. He's retired in the pit lane, and that is the end of his race. And then there were 14 drivers, unfortunately. We started with 18, and we will end with a minimum of 14, or a maximum of 14. As no, it's going to be 13, because Angry Ink has just retired from the goddamn race. He picked up a 10-second, and then just decided to park it. That is commentator's curse. If people believe it isn't real, there is cold, hard proof right there in front of your eyes that it exists.
Yes, Joe is starting to close in on S22, but what I was coming to say before all of that is S22 started P18 up to P14 now. Would, I mean, 6 laps to go. Could he possibly take a podium here?
S22?
Yeah. I mean, he's closing in on KZ. Got another 5.1 to close.
I mean,
So he's about a second a lap.
I think the medium tyres are going to start falling away pretty soon. So it's going to be a pretty hard ask, but it might be doable. If KZ picks up another penalty, then probably 100% yes, he can get a podium. But I'm not sure if his tyres will be good enough for long enough to get a podium here. He needs 4.7 seconds, which is not a crazy amount, but it's not a small amount either, if we're all honest. So we will wait and see. But he's got some work to do. Let's put it that way.
Certainly, and he's got Joe as well now in the DRS. In fact, got DRS in that last DRS straight. So he's got sort of 2 battles to contend with now.
Yeah, definitely. There's now Owen CFC and Rob moving themselves past Hi Hello Ye, who is AI, I believe. So that is actually only 12 drivers we have in the race. Unfortunately, as now Joe is behind S22. He's got himself into DRS, as now down the inside he goes. He's going to brake much later, and he's going to cleanly get himself past. Fantastic move there, I've got to say. And he is cleanly up to 4th place as S22. Does try to fight it back around the outside. Gets cut off a little bit by Joe. But we're seeing some very good racing between these guys at the moment.
And Sniper Maker in off the hards onto softs. So he's going to go to the end on softs now. Possibly a fastest lap attempt as well on the softs if he can get them up to temperature. But he was sitting the point, so that could have been Red Bull's only hope for a point this race, or points this race. Gone there, and well, I mean, as you know, after your time as a Red Bull driver in the league in season 1,
yeah,
and part of season 2, Red Bull have always tended to struggle a bit.
I mean, in what context? Because I mean, I didn't struggle.
Constructors terms. Constructors title
well,
terms.
I mean, in season 1, if we're all honest, I kind of carried Red Bull to P2 in the constructors. I mean, no offense to Jax, love the guy, but he wasn't of much use in the constructors. It was mostly me dragging them up the order, but Yeah, we all, Rebel always have kind of struggled in comparison to other constructors. I think that's a fair assessment. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, talking about constructors struggling, that's under the virtual safety car here. Aston Martin, last season's title winners, down in fourth on only 47 points. The leaders on 128 points.
Yeah, they're struggling a little bit, 100%. But that is how quickly things can change in league racing. You know, one race you're on top of the world, the next race you're at the bottom of it. Yeah, it's just one of them things.
It certainly is. So, virtual safety car certainly drawing it out, taking its time to come in.
Yeah, it is taking it's taking its merry old time. As S22 picks up a drive through for speeding under virtual safety car. Very unfortunate for him. As apologies, there is a really awful noise that I have to fix on OBS. As by the way, there is another Regan rant in the Discord I've just seen.
Oh Lord!
About Rob. So that will be interesting. As now S22 comes to serve his drive through, and Orion picks up a 3-second penalty, as well as Gabriel moves himself past S22 because of that drive through penalty. So now lap 22 of 25. Sorry to cut you off. I was just going to say, Chenky, we haven't really seen much of him because he's been absolutely clear. He's been on a Sunday drive in this second stint, basically.
Certainly, I was just going to come to the fact that safety car, taking its time to come in, played perfectly into Chenky's hands there to really just cement what was already looking like a definite race win, but almost guaranteed now if he can just keep his nose clean these last 3 laps. But after saying that Red Bull looked like they weren't going to get any points, a couple of laps back, it's 2 drivers in the points now for Red Bull, so as long as they can keep it clean, Red Bull should have some nice points coming out of this race.
Yeah, they should have 3 points going into their accounts as Sniper Maker picks up a 3-second penalty pretty much on cue. Commentator's curse exists. Anyway, we're no one is even close to each other. The closest person is Winston to S22, and that's still 2 seconds. So the race has really fallen away from under us in the last few laps, hasn't it?
Certainly has. A few drivers sort of going for the 2-stop here, which very much surprised me, going for a 2-stop here. I thought it would have been a 1-stop like of what Chenky and KZ, Matty, and even Winston and S22 have done, but going for a 2-stop? I mean, obviously Galliend is working nicely for him, but then he has the raw pace to go with it. As for others, perhaps a 1-stop could have been stronger, but I mean, you never know what goes on in a driver's heads at times.
Yeah, you don't. A driver's mental state is an interesting place. You know, sometimes some drivers could be very stressed, whilst others could be incredibly cool. And one man who will be cool and calm in abundances is Chenky as he starts the penultimate lap of the race. He is in no man's land and he is in cruise control of this race, and he will have enjoyed this one because it has been one hell of a performance. As now, well, there's not really much to talk about in the race.
Turn 3.
Wow. Turn 3. As I was about to say, there isn't much to talk about. Gelly End DNFs. What? Oh my god, man. Oh, well, I've just talked that into existence. That's a clip. That's a clip. Hello, Instagram. This is probably going on TikTok. Hello.
Definitely is.
That's one of the worst commentators' curses I think I've ever had. Well, at least Regan might be complaining at us that it's him that's been cursed. Oh, Orion now retires as well. Jesus Christ, man! Just bloody finish the race. As Orion's crashed as well. Jesus.
And then there were 11.
Yeah, I well and truly talked that up into existence. Oh, well. That does leave Chenky 30 seconds out in the lead now after the cursed Gelly Ends crash, let's say. As he now enters lap 25. We go on board with Chenky, who finishes Sector 1 for the final time in this race. It's been incredible from him. I believe he is one of the only two drivers to go for the one stop, or at least go for the one stop and make it fast, let's say. So it's been really impressive from him. And a deserving victor, isn't he? As long as things go well.
Certainly will be as long as things go well in this final sector. I mean, he came into this 59 points behind Gelly End in the title. And this is going to completely slice that gap. Pole plus the 25 for the win 26, so that's going to bring it down to 33 points. Back-to-back race wins now for Chenky. You could say that his title charge is on now.
Yeah. Here comes Chenky in the Ferrari to win the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix with absolute dominance. It was basically lights to flag, and he wins by an absolute margin. He is in a different postcode to KZ by the time he crossed the line, as now round the final corner will come KZ to finish P2 after Gelly End's crash last lap. It will be Joe third. Let's just check there'll be no position changes. No, there won't. There won't be any position changes, so that is all good. As now Joe finishes third. It'll be Gabrielle fourth. It will be S22 fifth. Winston sixth. Owen seventh. Hi Hello Ye eighth. Sniper Maker ninth. Rob 10th. And then, for those of you wondering, although obviously you can see it, as S22 slides across the line, as did Gabrielle, we lost Gelly End, Orion, Angry Ink, Regan, Kieran Derry, Tato Does Dumb, and Alexis in this race. As now we wait for Rob to cross the line. So what were your thoughts on the race then, Brian? What did you think?
I know certainly some good battling going on at points in the race. Along with that as well, you feel like there's a few unnecessary DNFs possibly. Obviously, if you hit the turn 3 wall, you can't help it, but just the retiring in the pits. I mean, I'm going to sound a bit like Kyle does here. It's not always needed. Sometimes does overshadow what could have been a good race with the amount of DNFs there is. But apart from that, very good race, and a very good race from Chenky as well.
Yeah, one hell of a performance. And here is the podium for the race. As next week, ladies and gentlemen, as we see the podium play out, I need to get the calendar up. Next week, we will head to China for the Chinese Grand Prix. That is always a very, very good track. And then we head to Canada, Australia, then it's our mystery round, then it's Austria, then we go to Brazil for the final sprint of the season, and then the season finale at Abu Dhabi. So that is the end of the race here, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all very much for watching, and we will see you later. Goodbye.